70 million will be HIV positive. And we want to, and so we are concerned about this, and the whole, and the government is concerned about this whole thing too, and all. And Lamont Williams said, let me tell you something. He said that every Negro died on the continent in the year 2015, if this damn government wouldn't give a damn. And that's bold to say on TV. You see what I'm saying? That's bold to say on TV. There's another show, he came on when they had the riots going on, where they showed one of the boys that was in riot, one of his partners, on the other side of the car getting his behind with it. And he blew up the frame and blew up the video, and you saw this guy, he was getting the beat down on the other side of the car. And they told him, why you didn't come? He said, I've been trying to come forth since the second day, but they've been shutting me out. They wouldn't even use me in court. So, yes, I don't know. He probably was smooth when he first got in there, but as soon as he made that transition, brother got on it. He just got married again, married a sister. That's good, too. So I'm saying, here's a man that ain't been in the business, but he was a local person, and he went national. He ain't been in the business for 2 years, and already doing this. And here's a nigga that's got more money than half of people will ever see. And she has nothing to lose, and she won't even stand up for black people. So niggas like that, and I say niggas, and I use that word just for those type of people.
Sure.
Not for the brothers and sisters in the project, because they are victims. But I'm talking about the niggas. The white man made a nigga. And he processed a machine that works for him. That's a nigga. That's our brothers and sisters in the upper class or the higher, lower class, 2 paychecks away from poverty, is selling out. And I'm saying that we can't even compromise because we don't even have like 8 years. And that's the other part to get on. Now, this is a picture on the shrine of Tutankhamun that's showing the star Sirius, and it's also showing this star Sirius hitting him in the head that's symbolic to the pineal gland. I just want to show you that. Okay. This is a glider found in the pyramids. Wasn't it in the Great Pyramid?
Yep.
In the Great Pyramid in Egypt, and they thought it was a bird, but when they looked and they checked it out, when they checked it out, they said, wait a minute. This is not a bird. This is geometrically designed, or what you call aerodynamic. Aerodynamically designed. This is not a bird. This is an airplane. So they found out that, hey, the stuff that the Wright brothers and all of us toyed around and thought that we were superior about, they'd already had that knowledge. They probably, like I said, they didn't do a lot of things, but they need a lot of things. You understand? It didn't check out with the gods. But I believe, and I know for a fact, I believe in my heart, when it was time to do certain things, and because they had the superior knowledge, they can build what they want, they can build it better than the white man. This is where all these spaceships coming from. Because you could go to the Nile Valley and you have this 98% arrow, but you go on down into Nubia and the prototype of the Egyptian or the Kemetic person is still there in Nubia and on into Ethiopia. But the actual cultural type people just disappeared off the face of the earth. And there was a friend of mine named Dave Pitt that went to school the past semester up in University of Michigan, which is one of your greatest schools in technology and one of the schools that's real active in all the science. That's one of them. And he went to school and he took a class with the Egyptologist, and the Egyptologist was talking about all this Ptolemaic period and talking about the Egyptians was white. So he brought in the scholarship and started breaking it down, and the Egyptologist looked at him and said, look, I'm teaching my class from a European perspective. So he was saying, even though that is right, I don't give a damn. This is my class, I'm teaching from a European perspective. So sooner or later, he got smart and stopped fighting with the man and went in all humble to find out information. And the guy told him that we don't know how Egypt fell. It's the greatest mystery to the world. We don't know how the damn thing fell. He said they had enough Egyptian initiates in the mystery school till you would see the culture manifested today. You would see the culture. He said, but we understand that we have the fragments of the culture all over the world, and all of it eventually came from there, because there was a brother that had a class here in Atlanta that told all of the people, even the white people in the class, you think of anything, and I guarantee you I trace it back to Africa. Because the concepts of it was laid in Africa, you see. They might have done improvements, but the concepts of everything, we can trace it back to Africa. So, what he's saying, they don't know how it felt. And so this started the wheels turning in my head and say, hey, look, hey, they got up. They got up. Hemmitt is what? The entire length of it is from, the entire mileage of it is from here to probably, well, let's say from South Carolina to D.C. That's a big piece of land. You're going on into Nubia and Ethiopia. When you say Kush or Punt, and all these places, that's a big piece of land. So that means that obviously you would find some of it, even though they say you can go down into Ethiopia now, you can find some of these things. There was a guy from Ethiopia came up, he said, you know, I noticed some type of things, and he said, I even noticed some hieroglyphic forms of writing in some of the writings of some of the people there. But we talk about a people with the greatest culture on earth. You can find the ancient Chinese, you can find the ancient Japanese, you can find the prototype of, well, the ancient Mayans, you can't find them either, can you? I'll let you know something. And they real heavy on doggone UFOs. You see, not only that, they had a crash at Aztec. They call it the crash at Aztec. They crashed near the pyramids in Mexico, and they found a vessel, and they so-called found a body. And they found a vessel, and they said the vessel had hieroglyphic type writing, a Sanskrit, which is the ancient writing of the ancient Mayans, on the gear shifts and on some paper, leaf-like paper. It represents, it almost resembles hieroglyphics. I mean, papyrus. You see? And they found this stuff in the 40s and shut people up. And in New Mexico, they had a crash. You can get the book, Whitney Strieber's book. He had a book called A Communion. He has another book called The Transformation. And he has another book called The Magi. He went, Majestic. He went down to New Mexico because he got a call from an old man. And he said he went there and knocked on the door. And he said it took the man doggone near almost 15 minutes almost to get to the door. He said the man was all hurt, all bent over and stuff. He's saying, I don't know about this, man. This thing is kind of spooky. And so he went and sat down, and the man said, I want you to write my story. And he said, what you talking about? He said he went to the back and came out with a big box full of photographs of the crash, photographs of the doggone people, and photographs of all this stuff. Government documents and all. I think he used to work for the government. And Whitney Strieber said, look, I'm sitting here in this man's living room, and I got the history or the secret to the world in my hand, and I'm going to jail. Because as soon as I doggone, so he said the best thing he could do was write the book in fiction. I can show you that. No, okay, yeah, this is a shrine of another thing on King Tut's sarcophagus, and it's also talking about this star hitting the pineal gland and you having a spiritual manifestation, but it's also talking about this star Sirius. This star Sirius, okay. And I wanted to get into a certain amount of things with this UFO phenomenon that's going on. And I want to tell you some things about the cycles that's going on. Now, the UFO phenomenon, a lot of people, when they have these encounters, they so-called see these aliens. And when they see these aliens, they so-called describe the same type of ET-looking person, a type of alien. And you can get a book, Illuminati Trilogies by Robert Anton Wilson. It's called Eye on the Pyramid. And his concept of eye on the pyramid is the eye that I look at God is the way God looks back at me. So when these people have these encounters, the only thing they can perceive of that's a space encounter, because they know they're having some kind of alien encounter, is something they see on TV. And so when it registers in their mind that what they saw on TV, the only thing that they can think of an alien, and it should be some spook thing, this is what the so-called the encounter registers back at them. And this is what the alien communicates with them on that level, the level that they perceive them. I think it's in, which was the last Star Trek? Was it 6? In Star Trek 5, get Star Trek 5. It's called The Quest for God or something like that. The Final Frontier. And they were in the search of God. And when they got to God, they got to a person that wasn't really God. He wasn't really God, but when they got to him, he was standing with this big face. And he said, who are you? How do you look? He said, I am who you perceive me to be. And he started flashing these different faces. And this concept, because, you know, the man puts his own, what he knows, the knowledge he knows, the ancient knowledge that he knows and keep it from us, he sometimes put it in movies. And I'm going to talk about a certain amount of movies you need to get to. And so, and then they found out that it wasn't God. But the thing about it is that same concept. That is why it's important for us to take the white Jesus Christ down. Because we understand, just like Khalid Muhammad said, a man busts in your house and take all your furniture and evict you, and you fall on the ground and pray to a God, and the God looks like the same man that damn just kicked you out your own house. You know, that's called an eye on the pyramid. So it's important that we, and you know, Africa is very symbolic. Everything these symbols had substance, and they understood the pictorial meaning of symbols. The visual meaning was just as important as the literal. You understand? That's where you have the hieroglyphics is picture form, because they understood that you were working both sides of the brain when you did this. So it's very important that we take these symbols that don't mean anything to us down, you see. So when they have these encounters, they have these other type aliens. Now I think it's in the Whole of Pale Horse where Eisenhower supposedly met with some aliens on an Air Force base in Texas. And when he met with these aliens, they said, you got such and such a time to do your stuff, and your shit is up. It's over. And right after that, we know the great space age started with Kennedy and all of this. And now up to this point, which we get into the present era, and also to talk about this, there's over 100,000 people that are abducted in the United States, white people. So you know it's got to be something strange. It's got to be something strange because ain't that many black people. I can't think of it like 2 people. Some Air Force pilot or some kind of person in the service got abducted and all. We understand, you understand how whitewashed they are and all. And he got abducted, but it's not. But it's hundreds of white people, thousands of white people worldwide. And not only that, they said that these things can come in. If you, there was a book, there was a show came on about a month ago called The Intruders. And they said that these people did what they had to do. They operated on them. Some women say they got days of their life. They said where their ovaries are gone. They put all kinds of implants in them and all this type of stuff. One doctor came and said, man, whoever did this nose job is one of the best in the world. This thing is out of this world. This is some state-of-the-art work. And they said, she said they did all that and they didn't even come inside the house. They were doing it from the spaceship. You see. So we're talking about spiritual, because, and you can get Swallow de Lubit's book, Isha de Lubit's book, the Egyptian initiate, Herbal. And there's a whole section on illusion. Yeah. Where they could deal with the illusion. You see? So these people could deal with the knowledge of the universe that we call magic. It's not magic, but this stuff is real. They could do all kinds of things. You see? Now, we're talking about a people in 1991 that's even more advanced. 1992 is even more advanced. You understand what I'm saying? They can do anything they want to do. You see? So, they got people that say that these people come and mess with them and don't even get off the spaceship. But these people say they're going to war with these people. And Gorbachev and Bush talking about they want to spend billions of dollars in a space center. For what? People starving all over the world. For what? Because they are getting ready for war. They also said that recently, I think a friend Dave called from Michigan and told me that they said that they was going to pass this in Congress. They said that they had they want to build this big old gun because there are meteorites falling to Earth and they're going to hurt people. They want to build this big old gun and shoot them out of the air. You see what I'm saying? They also, you need to get a book called Above Top Secret, Timothy Good. Get that book because it's called Timothy Good and it's got all the government documents as well as Behold the Pale Horse. There's a lot of books on UFO, but see what the government has done is this. The government puts out propaganda books in black liberation, white liberation, when these all on white people call themselves, you know, with all this, their little protest stuff. And also, if you go to Oxford bookstore, you will see a whole wall full of UFO books. Well, this is good because this is saying that a lot of these books are telling the truth. But the government might put 1 or 2 books in there, and you might get the book and it might have something so ridiculous that you say, oh, this is some spook stuff, and it'll throw you down. This is something that prevents you from going on further with it. You see, this is a detour. You see, we don't understand this. And so the government, everything we do, the government is also got its hand in on it. You see, we saw a tape on the New World Order. It was done in the 1970s. That the government got their hands on and destroyed, but it was done professionally. It was done just like you'd watch a TV show, because a lot of the tapes, they just got a brother on there talking. This thing had graphs, it had all of this. And they said there was a point where the government encourages black radical movements. And the reason why they do that, if you notice, they're getting ready for the King Alpha plan, and they're getting ready for police states, because you have all of these shows coming on, 901, Cops, and 48 Hours, and Unsolved Mysteries. All of this is to get the people ready for doggone martial law. And they're doing this by telling the people that the climate is so dangerous that so the white people and even stupid black people, because people will perish from a lack of ignorance, and the ignorant black people are our worst enemies. And these people are saying, we got to get the dope off the street. And Bill Cooper says that they're going to have you to get up off your own constitutional rights. And they said that Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, back in the 60s, was all in, you know, with all his protests and stuff. And they said something happened, and he got up on the podium, and he was going strong up to this time. And all of a sudden, he was like, damn, these people been using me and my black radical nationalist element to incite things. They are for this because they want to impose martial law. So they want to get the turmoil going and all because they want this friction so they can say we got to do this. You see, and they just shot down this bill, which is positive on our part. This anti-hate law. Sure. They shot it down. When was this? Wednesday? Or no, it was Monday. They voted on it and they shot it down, and it was good because what was going to happen was. This anti-hate law, they put the Ku Klux Klan on the posters and all of the stuff that they're going to send out. And they tell you, and the first thing a black person say, yeah, we need to pass that anti-hate law. And they don't even know it's not even for the Ku Klux Klan. It's for us. It's to stop brothers like me. They can come in and arrest me and hang me by my balls. This is the stop brothers, Farrakhan, all of them. And even my man, what's his name, Tom Metzger, had this stupid old Reverend Buford on. He's good in liberation. But there's other things he needs to read more. Reverend Buford, Al Sharpton. He needs to read more. Because I'm saying he says things and all, but then again, we don't know, he might be a plant.
He's cute, I mean.
Right. And see, he says things he doesn't know his doggone history.
That's what's dangerous.
You see, he doesn't know his history. And that's dangerous because he was on with Tom Metzger. And he was like, doggone, and Tom Metzger was talking about these anti-hate laws are getting ready to pass. He was like, I hope they pass them. He said, Tom Metzger said, don't you know, this is a ban over modified or intelligent branch of the Ku Klux Klan. He said, brother, don't you know that anything that you pass, any law that a black man pass against us, they're going to turn around and use it on you? Damn. You see? Let me tell you something about the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan sometimes is your best friend.
Marcus Garvey proved that.
Right. They're your best friend. You got Bush, you got Reagan, you got Bill Clinton, that's a Bilderberger, you got Ross Perot that's talking about martial law, you got all these niggas that we up there running through the polls to vote for. Burning up gas, if anything. To vote for, and they'll elect the president before we even get back from the polls. Before we get back. We go into these people, and these people are working against our destruction and eradicating us private. You have the Ku Klux Klanman that's saying what he has on his mind, and they going, shh, we can get the niggas, but you need to shut up. The Ku Klux Klanman is the bullhorn for black people. They let you know what's going on. You see what I'm saying? They let you know what's going on. I see eye to eye on them. They say, we don't want you around our women. I don't need to be around your women. I don't want your woman.
Check.
I ain't got no problem with that. That's check. They say you need to live in your own damn neighborhood. Well, I need to live in my own neighborhoods because the Commonwealth will come back to my neighborhood. And my people can see, it's not enough to see these people on Bill Cosby as role models. They need to see people that they know the pattern themselves. Because let me just tell you this, because a lady came up at the funeral and told me, because my grandmother was a teacher. We always, in South, I'm from Mother, South Carolina, you live in the neighborhood with everybody. And the woman came up, she said, you know, even though we were dirt poor, your grandmother was an inspiration to us to go and do better because she was a school teacher in the neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? Because they had a direct impact with the school teachers by knowing the school teachers. Not by seeing them on TV, not by seeing them in Buckhead. Black people don't even live in their own neighborhood. It's not even a neighborhood. A neighborhood is made up of people from different class groups, and one is bringing the other up. That's that trickle-down theory. And I am because we are. That's a neighborhood. We don't even live in our own neighborhood. We don't even live in the neighborhoods of all the people that so-called oppressed. We live out in all these other places. Now, we understand that a lot of times it's not our fault because the Great Migration came and niggas ran all over the place until the neighborhoods got so bad till you can't even go in them now. But we understand that's not a neighborhood, that's called a pathological survival group on both ends. They're alienated from you and they need you, and you're alienated from them because you need them at the backbone in your strength because you plunking out to them crackers out there in that other neighborhood. So the Ku Klux Klan said you need to live with yourself. I need to live by myself. I need to live with my people. Ku Klux Klan said you need to go to school by yourself. Well, the people that don't have you in mind can't really properly educate you. And nobody ain't gonna educate you to take them out of power. And I don't give a doggone how much the woman is trying to teach the white woman. If she thinks that you're inferior, she's not gonna really effectively teach you. And now we understand that everything that's going on now is a manifestation of integration. You see what I mean? People just mute. They're just walking around, and that's the animal box. That's called the level of that's the animal box. What feels good, tastes good, feels, sounds good, and sounds good, and looks good. That's what we go off of. Style, not intellectual ability to reason. You see, common customs, common culture, common customs, common culture, common history equals common sense. You don't have all those, you don't have no common sense. You are the tool. You are ABC, CBS, NBC, HBO, Showtime, and Cinemax. That's what we are. Because if you notice, anybody start talking about black consciousness, your people are cliche people.
That's right.
When they don't understand you, all the thing they start doing is spurting out cliches. Oh, we need to go forward. We need to do better. We need to pull ourselves up out of bootstraps. All kind of cliches don't have a damn bit of substance. You understand what I'm saying? How am I gonna pull myself up by my bootstraps when I don't have no soul? That means if I pull the boots up, I'm still on the damn ground. You understand what I'm saying? So we are cliche people. That's the animal box. A reactionary people instead of a pre-actionary people or a pro-actionary people. Or people that just act. That's called an animal box. We are on the, that's more than an animal box. He's got instincts. He just goes through nature harmoniously with instinct. We are worse than the doggone animals. You understand? So, I don't need them to educate me. You understand? So they say we need to do for self. Well, everybody knows we need to do for self. Because a man who feeds you, clothes you, sends you to school, give you your food, your bread, your daily bread, house you, that's your God.
That's what
Your God is the white man. And because you worship him in the image of Jesus Christ, who is white in America, he's still a white man. The white man is our God. You see what I mean? So I don't have no problem with the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan saying, you need to live by yourself, and I'm saying, I ain't got no problem with that. And like I said before, I don't have no problem with him being my enemy. Because remember, you gotta have duality.
That's right.
You see? You gotta have pros and cons. And he's supposed to be that. One brother said, hey, he is our enemy. He is the lower nature of you, put here to make sure that you manifest into the God that you're supposed to be. If he wasn't here, we wouldn't be manifested into the God that we're supposed to be. It's the same thing what happened back in '88. We were at a forum, all the crackheads that broke loose. We was at a forum at Morehouse. Brother said, he stood up and said, Ronald Reagan is the best president we ever had. So at first we just thought this was one of them crazy niggas, you know.
Yeah.
Republican Party crazy niggas, that's just, you know. And he said, and so, that's right. And so he said, he stood up, and everybody wanted to jump on him, right? He said, look, if the man didn't put his foot in our ass, for the last 8 years, we wouldn't be at the point we are now sitting around a table talking about black liberation. He said, remember now when you got all that doggone CETA programs and all that doggone food stamp, even my mom was teaching school, she even got the food stamp one summer. You see what I'm saying? Man, niggas was living good. He took all that way and gave us government cheese. But brothers was living good. And long as we thought that we had made it, this is the worst state to be in. This is the dead state. This is a dead level. So I don't have any problem with him being my enemy. You might see me hanging out with one. Like Dr. Finn said, I can deal with my enemy the way I deal with my enemy. So it ain't no problem. Sometimes you gotta go to them jobs, but you deal with him on an enemy level. The problem is we don't know who the devil is. See, racism is only the expression of the beast. The beast is far more severe than that. Any man that takes over 1 billion people off the planet, including his own people, this is the beast.
Check.
And until everything we learn, like I said before, it all falls in vain until we understand that this man is the beast. You see, in every culture, indigenous culture, they don't play around. They knew that the man was the beast. We saw a special on TV. Now get this. We saw a special on TV about the Indians. And check this out. They couldn't beat the Sioux. So they said, we're going to give you 2 states. And they gave them 2 states. What was the state, son?
It was Wyoming.
Yeah, it was up to
Wyoming or whatever in the Midwest. They 2 states, about as big as 2 Georgias. And their food, they said, we can really live here. And their food was the buffalo. The Indians used to hunt the buffalo, and this was their source of survival. And so, you know, the white man, he want that. And sooner or later, he gonna get it. He give them something to pacify us now, like he did us in the 60s. And all. So he said, he told all the purchase and all them, he paid them money to go out and kill buffalo. You know these white people kill, how many was it?
It was over like 60 million.
60 million buffaloes.
Buffalo
Down to
Bill.
85.
Down to, when they got through, there was 85 left. And they showed them standing up, and if you ever been to the AU Center Library over here, they showed them standing up with buffalo skulls tall as the doggone library. And the Indians almost starved to death. And they put them on reservations. And then after they put them on reservations, the Indians started doing a sacred dance. Said maybe we can dance this sacred dance and maybe
Ghost dance.
the ghost dance, and maybe to get rid of the white man. And the white man got scared. And that's when they had the wounded knee. They came in and killed babies, all of that. The blanket thing, if you need to get the AIDS tape of Jack Feller said that the smallpox thing that they put with the blankets infected with smallpox, they tried the same thing in Africa during colonization, but we were a doggone strong people and we just shook that off. Just like we shake off everything and eat babies.
They did in Australia.
You see? Look at Australia, shop for sport. Look at the Aborigines. And look at the Tasmanians.
They going.
Gone, wiped out. Wiped out. Now, to me, mathematically, it don't have to take that much to add up to be the devil, but I mean, after all of that, after billions of people, the Caribs, not around in the Caribbeans after billions of people, we must understand that this is our enemy. This is our enemy. And we must understand these things. Now, I want to get to a point, I want to deal with these cycles. Now, this is very important because now we are into the part of today. Now, this is crucial. I got a sister here named Kimberly Meadows. She teaches at Spelman. We've been through the struggle from the beginning, you see. And let me tell you something. You talking about a sister that knows the stuff? This sister knows the stuff. Hey, she can know about as much as I do. You see what I mean? And she's going to come up and she's going to read you a passage. Remember I showed you the god Tahuti. Our ancient African brothers and sisters knew, you can put that god back on, show them that god again.
Yeah, that's right.
They knew all what was going to happen to us. They knew it already. They knew what was going to happen. They knew it to the T. And we know now that the dynastic period started the decline of Kemet. It started in the dynastic. You can get Chance of Wigan book tell you that. It started in the dynastic period. So they knew Thoth, which is the god of time, which I told you before. I want to say this again. There was a goddess Seshet, supposedly was telling everything he knew. He was writing it down. And we want to always bring that goddess back into the picture. no, give me the back there. This is the one.
Okay.
Tahuti.
Right here.
Yep. Tahuti. And the God Tahuti, Thoth, or Tot, they might say Tot in the book, or Hermes, which is the Greek thing, or the god Hermes. Now, I want her to come and read a passage to you about what's going on how we fell. They knew all the time they were going to fall. And she's going to be reading, his name is Asclepius, which is Imhotep. You know him as Imhotep. The Greeks call him Asclepius. Now, he's asking Tahuti what's going to happen. And he's going to tell her this.
Or are you ignorant, O Asclepius, that Egypt is the image of heaven? Moreover, it is the dwelling place of heaven, and all the forces that are in heaven. If it is proper for us to speak the truth, our land is the temple of the world. And it is proper for you not to be ignorant that a time will come in our land when Egyptians will seem to have served the divinity in vain, and all their activity in their religion will be despised. For all divinity believe in Egypt, and will flee upward to heaven. And Egypt will be it will be abandoned by the gods. For foreigners will come into Egypt, and they will rule it. Egypt, moreover, Egyptians will be prohibited from worshiping God. Furthermore, they will come into the ultimate punishment, especially whoever among them is found worshiping and honoring God. And in that day, the country that was more pious than all countries will become impious. No longer will it be full of temples, but it will be full of tombs. Neither will it be full of gods, but it will be full of corpses. O Egypt, even Egypt will become like fables, and the barbarian will be better than you, O Egyptian, in his religion, whether he is Scythian or Hindu, or some other of this sort. And what is this that I say about the Egyptian? For they will not abandon Egypt. For in the time when the gods have abandoned the land of Egypt and have fled upward to heaven, then all Egyptians will die. And Egypt will be made a desert by the gods and the Egyptians. And as for you, O river, there will be a day when you will flow with blood more than water, and dead bodies will be stacked higher than the dams. And he who is dead will not be mourned as much as he who is alive. Indeed, the latter will be known as an Egyptian on account of his language in the second period of time. Asclepius, why are you weeping? He will seem like a foreigner in regard to his customs. Divine Egypt will suffer evils greater than these. Egypt, lover of God, and the dwelling place of the gods, school of religion, will become an example of impiousness. And in that day the world will not be marveled at, immortality, nor will it be worshipped, since we say that it is not good. It has become neither a single thing nor a vision, but it is in danger of becoming a burden to all men. Therefore it will be despised. The beautiful world of God, the incomparable work, the energy that possesses goodness, the many-formed vision, the abundance that does not envy, that is full of every vision. Darkness will be preferred to light, and death be preferred to life. No one will gaze into heaven, and the pious man will be counted as insane, and the impious man will be honored as wise. The man who was afraid will be considered strong, and the good man will be punished like a criminal.
Common criminal.
And concerning the soul, and the things of the soul, and the things of immortality, along with the rest of what I have said to you, O Tot, Asclepius, and Ammon, not only will they be considered ridiculous, but they will also be thought of as a vanity. But believe me when I say that people of this kind will be endangered by the ultimate danger to their soul. And a new law will be established. The wicked angels will remain among them and be with them and lead them into wicked things recklessly, as well as into atheisms, wars, and plundering. by teaching them things to the contrary of nature. In those days the earth will not be stable, and men will not sail the sea, nor will they know the stars in heaven. Every sacred voice of the word of God will be silenced, and the air will be diseased. Such is the senility of the world, atheism, dishonor, and the disregard of noble words. Shall I continue? Okay. There was no death in Egypt in its days of great wisdom, but soon, when the gods left and the degenerated man walked the earth, those who were in the minority had to combat the majority of lesser intelligence. Note the reference to a love of a god and gods, Brahma and his family. The ultimate danger to their soul were the barbarians, who could not understand and who would strip their tombs, their places of sleep, not death. Today, we call them archaeologists and physical anthropologists, a glorified name for grave robbers, thieves, and curiosity seekers, as well would torment them and deny them of the one thing they could have in death. The heathen would never have life.
Now this is almost 3,000 years before it fell. You understand? So they knew, and they knew the prophecies, and they set down the prophecies for us to follow. There's a second part. Now you can get this. I want to tell you show you some bibliography that you want to get, and I want to get it on film for the person who's watching this video. It's important that we get the books and read the books. And I want to show you some. You can get these books. These are this Tahuti Thor. There's a book called The Divine Commander. I think it's like $13, and this is the second part called A Virgin of the World. Called A Virgin of the World. This part that she read is in this book, and you can get that part. But it's translated out of Greek. The part I got is a part that was reworded. They put words in to tell you what they were talking about. It was translated a little better, but this is translated in Greek, so if you get the video and you get the audio, you can understand that you can read this. But there's a second part in this. When Asclepius told him, look, will we get out of this mess? And Tahuti told him, yes, we will. He said, we will get out of this mess. There will be a time when Ma'at will be restored. Now, you know the Bible tells you go to hell and there's no way out of this type of stuff. You see, that's what Seth wants you to believe. He wants you to believe, and Seth is the white man. He wants you to believe that his rule is forever. But remember, an ant in a coconut shell full of water thinks it's a whole ocean. He's just looking in the wrong place. So when people assess what's going on in America, there's no way that we can see ourselves out of this. Number one, we can't get out of it financially. We can't get out of it militarily because he got all of that. You understand? Because we're looking at it in the wrong place. And like I said before, we got to meet the brothers and sisters that are coming for us, because your own Bible tells you that. I'm not speaking no more than the theology that the preacher's speaking. I'm just speaking it in another language, and I'm speaking it close to home, and I'm not speaking it out. Because in the book of Ecclesiastes, they tell you he's coming with the sword in his hand. Jesus, supposedly. Now, if we know that this comes out of ancient African symbols and ancient African knowledge, then we understand that the sword would have been that of that day, but now we're talking about high technology. And we're talking about the high technology because that was a nomadic people that had to perceive what was going on. But we're talking about, when we talk to Hemmitt, and he says it's coming with the sword, actually talking about it's coming in the spacecraft that we talk about today, you see. But we got to meet them halfway with the knowledge that we must prepare ourselves with. You can get both of these, you can get that lecture in here, and here's some other stuff going into the prophecies of Thoth Tahuti. Here's another book, it's 3 books in one, it's called Trice Great Hermes. It's called Trice Great Hermes. And this is a book by Samuel Weiser in New York City. Finch, Dr. Charles Finch and other scholars, when they would get this stuff and put it in the books that they, the books that's out, they would have to get all 3 volumes. Now you can get all 3 volumes in one. But it's $50, it's $50. But I'm telling you how you can do a lot of stuff a lot cheaper. I would say for right now, these are called a perfect sermon. That part that she read, it's called a perfect sermon, and that part is on page 71 in book 2, the version of the world. The version of the world is ISIS. And so you can get these 2 books, and you could somewhat find out in a short version of what's in these 3 volumes in one. Or you can pay the $50 and get the 3 volumes in one. You can get all these books from the Sphinx Metaphysical Bookstore.
Okay.
On Piedmont, if you take Piedmont Park, it runs dead into Ansman Square Mall, where it is.
Okay.
You can get all that now. There's the works of Gerald Massey. There's a part in Gerald Massey's book, the Book of the Beginning, in volume 2. There's a part called Shipton's Prophecy of the End of the World in the year 1881. Some relics of ancient Egyptian circle craft, are still extinct in Britain and have misinterpreted the prophecies in common with the Hebrews. According to these words, the world will end in the year 1881. The end of the world is nothing but the end of an eon, or the end of an age, of a cycle of time. We have the prophecy fulfilled in the lunar prophecy and planetary conjunction which occurred on the 3rd of March, 1881. It now remains scientific astronomy to determine, to scientific astronomy to determine the length of a particular cycle of time and define the relationship of a period of processions. The ending of the world is the ending of an eon, and the commencement of the new appropriate date for the book of the beginnings, March 4th, 1881. It's March 3rd was the end of the year. So what it was is the Christians in 1881 was following some stuff that the Hebrews said in the Bible, because that's all confusion. Set is the God of confusion. And they were following this thing, and everybody was talking about, oh, the world is going to end. So right now, they're talking the same thing. If you look on TV, every doggone preacher got a TV show. If you get cable, you click it, and every other show is a doggone preacher. But they are off, and our people are in these churches. There's 58 churches in AU Center alone, and this is some of the worst area known to Atlanta. All in that area. And if you got 50 churches, this tells me that your church supposed to be the shrine of the community and supposed to depict the climate of the community. And that which depicts the climate of the community is messed up, that's messed up. So it's saying that the end of the world is actually an end of an eon, it's end of an age. Now, I gave you some papers with some dates on it, if you want to get some dates on it. And I want you to buy a book, but I want to give you this, one of the, let me get one of these papers. I don't have it up here. There's only have one page in here that has some actual literature. Some actual literature. Yeah, here we go. And we're talking about a cycle of a great year every 14,460 years, or finally 26,000 year cycle, 26,000 year cycle of the great procession of the equinox. I want you to write those down and keep those, and I want you to toy with them, because we know that the man has messed up the calendar. The calendar, the first calendar was changed, our calendar was changed by Julius Caesar. And we understand that time is off, and I told you what the Egyptologists were doing. They were trying to tell you that that it starts at 3,000 years. But we understand that this stuff is older than that. And they're using Manetho's history, but I think Manetho, number one, Manetho doesn't give dates, he only gives dynasties. You understand? So you don't really know. And plus, I think that he gave them what they wanted. He told them it was 500 pharaohs in the dynastic period. That's 3,000 years. There was 800 in the pre-dynastic. That's 5. Hell, that's 8 right there. Then he told them before then a whole bunch of gods ruled. You see, a whole bunch of gods ruled. So he gives them dynasties. So the Egyptologists are steadfast on keeping this chronology in. And all the people who get into Egypt and write from Egypt and write that's not Egyptologists, that's not controlled, because remember, the controlling of Egyptology, you have the Rockefellers, which is which is direct link with the New World Order, and the Illuminati, and all of that. And all of a sudden, they're controlling this whole Egyptology scene. You got Brown University is a school of Egyptology, and you have Oriental Institute in Chicago, and you also have Emory is getting a school of Egyptology. It's coming. They opened up a little exhibit last year, some little fragments of Egypt and stuff in the Ptolemy period and all. And, yeah, you know, and so they're getting the school of Egyptology for one reason. Atlanta, there's a book you can get called Illuminati the Novel. You can get it at Lee Dawkins and stuff. But the guy that's in this book is saying that the new frontier or the new city for the New World Order is Atlanta, Georgia. Because when these cycles leave, it means the end of the world is the ending of becoming of a new world. And the old must leave and the new must come in. You understand? The old must leave and the new must come in. And so what they have to do is you have all these old cities, New York and LA and all these cities that's wore out. But you have what you call a New South that only in the 80s, the late 70s and the 80s, started becoming, you know, nice buildings, and they started building this stuff up in Atlanta. You got the CDC here, you have the Olympics, you got the Super Bowl, you had the Democratic Convention, you got the World Cup coming, you got all of these companies moving down here. This is the center for the New World Order. And Emory is a Coca-Cola University, and remember, big corporations run this baby, and Emory is Coca-Cola University, and the AU Center is Coca-Cola University. But Emory is getting a school of Egyptology. They have a school of anthropology, they got a school of African studies, and they get a school of Egyptology. Hell, that looked like doggone Cambridge. You understand what I'm saying? And Oxford.
Lords of London had something to do with that
Oh, okay.
some years ago.
Oh, okay.
Making that decision.
Making that decision and all. So they're getting all of this stuff, and this is the place for the New World Order, because they know that they have to go, everything has to be new, a new form of government. This is what everybody's talking about the consolidation of the wall coming down, Russia getting the hell on, the communism, and all of them coming together, because they have to become new. Because when the cycle change, the old got to go. But see, we were talking about this earlier, me and my brother, my friend over here, Robert, that the cycles change at least 2 or 3 times in Hemmitt, or maybe more, we don't know. But as long as they use divine kingship and adhere to the laws of Ma'at, when it changed, it would go on into the next eon, or the next millennium, or the next cycle. But when if it changed and your shit ain't together, excuse the expression, but I want to use strong emphasis because this is only 8 years from what we're doing, and it's serious. You go out with the old. You see, so we must have a new way of thinking as black people. You see, as black people. Now we have Gerald Massey. We have the Book of the Beginnings. We have Natural Genesis as 2 of his books, and we have his last book in 1907 was Ancient Egypt, Light of the World. Now, I look at his work and I say, this man was a 19th century Diop, a Dr. Ben, a Dr. Clark, white man, and was shut out by all his people. He said that England didn't even look at his work at all, and they shut this man out. And to this day, I only know 2 or 3 scholars that wrote something in the last 30 years that used his bibliography. So obviously, if we should support anything that they oppose and oppose anything that they support, then we need to be looking at this man and this stuff. These books, these spellbound books, cost $75 in a volume. But we always have students of him, and you could always get them. You can get John G. Jackson, Man, God, and Civilization. You can get John G. Jackson's Christianity Before Christ. He's what you call a Messiah. And you can get the new brother on the scene, Charles Finch. You need to get the book, Charles Finch, Echoes from the Dark Land, Themes from an African Eden. This is taking Gerald Massey's legacy on. And you need to get this book because it explains this great year that we're talking about, this cycle. He has in the bibliography Race and Origins, the Great Mother, the origin of human culture, the emergence of patriarchy, the chronology calendar of the world's great year, Nile Valley sources of the Old Testament. That's talking about all the set worship. You can get all that stuff wrapped up in here, even the knowledge on the great year. But brother here's been working for months trying to put this great year together. Brother Robert Calloway, he's lecturing now, and he's teaching over here, upper bound up at the University of Georgia. He's got his master's from the University of Georgia. My brother here, Rodney Cohen, we just finished up 2 weeks of lecturing and trying to put some knowledge in the young kids' heads that's coming into college in the upper bound programs and all these programs they have. And let me tell you something. Some of them brothers are ready for liberation. They're not ready to bootlick and buck, man. Some of them brothers out of high school is ready to do one thing, whip that ass. That's what they're ready to do, you see. But by the time they go through the process of college, they might come out, you see what I'm saying? Waving a doggone American flag. You see what I mean? Waving an American flag. John Henry Clark said, the best people you got as well as Farrakhan is in them projects. How you gonna fight? You a scholar. Joe Blow is the man that's got your back. And you don't even talk to Joe Blow in the pool hall. But he can kick many white people's ass. You see what I'm saying? And don't mind it. And don't mind dying, because if somebody shoot around you, you might lay in the bed the next day and say, I can't take it. This brother see death every day. He'll be out on the battlefield tomorrow. So the misplaced aggression that we see in the gangs is actually possible.
It's an army.
It's an army. You see what I mean? We can't take it all because we don't see it every day. They see it every day. So they don't mind getting up the next day and going right back. Just like the white man does. You see all his movies. His boy died yesterday in the camp. Indians shot him. You know, which is a bad way to put it because, you know, they kill the Indian and turn around and have them as the villains. But I'm trying to illustrate a point. You know, and they just get up the next day like, hey, bury him and put his hat on the grave and go on killing some more. But they say, thank you, Lord, and pass the ammunition. They don't mind killing and stuff. And so this book, you need to get this book. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 masses, 6 massive books that cost you almost $300. You can get most of that in this one book. This book, Dr. Ben Black, Man of the Niles, his stuff is massive. John G. Jackson, all of his book, Man, God, and Civilization, Christianity Before Christ, and also African Introduction to Civilization, which is an introduction to who John Henry Clark did the introduction. And you can get that. You need to look at Massey's work. Massey's writing stuff. Massey's writing in one part in this book on page, in Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, on page 180, 189, where he's talking about Sophis coming back. And she has the virgin child between her knees, and they're coming back. And they're coming back, and they're giving birth to a person by the name of Manes, which sets the stage for judgment. And they say the dead person can actually see what's going on at this time, and he can have a blueprint on what's going on. And when this thing happens, Amun-Ra comes back and say, come on board. Now that might be the spiritual manifesto, but it might be them doggone UFOs they're talking about with the whole Sophis thing, because we understand that the Dogon is a continuation of that. And they're talking about UFOs. They're talking about Ohu's Ark, which is inferior, and Nomo's Ark, which is superior. You see what I'm saying? So it's very important that we study the brothers and sisters, and even the white man, because he died for that cause. He was shut out by his own people. And his own people didn't even acknowledge him. And I was like, well, you know, and no one knew mythology like him. He has his student is Albert Churchward, did Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, which is talking about the 12 people and how they went all over the world. And I got a map in here. There's a map in here where it has, and I should have blew it up and put it on the overhead projector. There's a map where they have the origin of Africa right here. The origin of Africa right here in Nile Valley. And this red dot shows where the 12 people travel all over the world. You see, he's doing some work over here, travel all over the world. you know. And this is the map. And this is the book Signs and Symbols. This is his student. But somehow you need to get vindicationists. You need to get a guy by the name of Sinclair Drake. He died about 2 years ago. And he's what you call a vindicationist anthropologist. And what he did is he took the works of white authors and black authors and he synthesized them and told you what these people felt and who to really follow and who not to. And who to really take. And he said that he had a problem. Albert Churchwell had a problem saying, well, those Neolithic Negroes that started the world are not necessarily, there's a break between them, and they're not necessarily the West African prototype that we brought over as slaves. You see, but still yet, but Massey was the real man. You see, because all that world's great mother, that comes to us through Massey. The set worshipers, that comes to us through Massey. And Massey even says that these people, the Africans, were very spiritual. He said the Africans knew more about spirituality than anybody in the world, whereas one African brother would come down and put a bowl of water by the tree. And said, a European traveler came and said, well, young man, why did you put that bowl of water by the tree? He said, the tree can't drink the water. And the Africans said, you child, because they always call them children. He said, I have a spirit. I have a physical body, but I have a spirit, and the tree has a spirit just like me. And me putting the water is to say that I'm giving the spirit something to drink. And the spirit drinks the water. They understood this. This is why Charles Finch said that they did not look at themselves as people. They looked at themselves with the animals and the people.